So what's up YouTube? It's me again, Hunter. And I just got done watching a video of someone introducing the whole idea of studying in Germany. And I think after switching universities 3 times, I have a pretty good idea of how to quickly work through a checklist that will get you started in Germany. But it's the comments that come after this quick start guide that I think are more important, because there is a lot of hype around studying in Germany that I don't think is accurate. So basically, in coming to Germany, you're going to need a checklist of finding the university, getting housing, getting health insurance, getting a bank account, and probably a phone. And all of these things can be introduced pretty quickly. There's a website called DAAD. It's the Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst is what the name is. And you're going to want to go here, and you will want to go to the info for Ausländer. Maybe we can switch to English. We go to the information for foreigners, study programs, and here you'll find all of the programs that you might want to do. The advice that I'm going to give after this applies specifically to people who want to start their bachelor's degrees here. So this is how you're going to find what you want to study and how you can study it. And it will let you know if you have to speak German, if you can speak English, or if the whole degree is actually in English. With the bachelor's degrees, they're probably mostly going to be in German. When I was applying for it 4 years ago, there were a handful that were actually all English in the first semester, in the first year, and you would get intensive German courses, and then after that you would have to switch to German. But my goal in coming to Germany was to study at the Technical University of Munich, and for that I had to speak German from the very beginning. So I started in Mannheim with the first year in English studying electrical engineering, and I found that course of study through this website. So say you want to go to Würzburg, academic speech therapy, whatever you want to do. Now that you have this, you're going to want to look at their admission requirements. I'm not going to introduce the admission requirements in general because I think they're specific to the university. But after you submit your application and you get accepted, you're going to need to find housing. And in every German city, there is a Studentenwerk. And the Studentenwerk is basically this sort of private organizations that distributes student services from the university between the Studentenwerk, this organization. And in this case, we have a degree in Würzburg, so let's go to Studentenwerk Würzburg. You would go here, and maybe they have a website in English. They do. And here you would look under accommodation, for example, and student residences. And here you go. You'll find a list offered by every Studentenwerk that not only covers the housing, but also student loans if you need them, because the rent for student dorms with the Studentenwerk is actually really low. But in case you need help paying that, the German government will help you as well. This will be the second step to finding your accommodation, and it's the same process in every city, always a Studentenwerk. If you don't get a room with a Studentenwerk, you can go to this website called WG Gesucht. This is how I found pretty much all of my rooms after my first student dorm. And then you would type in here, for example, Würzburg. And you would look at a WG-Zimmer. And there's another English website for this. But you would look for a WG-Zimmer. A WG is a Wohngemeinschaft, and that means that you would be living very cheaply with maybe 3 to sometimes 8 people. It depends. And this is basically like local listings of people personally renting out their accommodation. And there are deadlines for this, and it's almost like a really nice Craigslist for apartments. So now we're done with the room. The university is going to require of a foreigner that they have health insurance. It depends on which company you go with, but I have the Technica Krankenkasse. And your university might help you begin the paperwork with the Technica Krankenkasse, but basically you are going to need to go to this building when you arrive in Germany and fill out a lot of information, and they will give you your health insurance card, and you'll use that card, one, to get into the university because you can't finish your enrollment without health insurance as a foreigner, and two, you'll use that card every time you go to your doctor. You'll just put it into the little card reader at the reception, and you're registered there, and that's how you'll pay as well. So health insurance is done. And from experience, health insurance, the registration for health insurance takes like a week once you arrive. Another very important thing is the bank account. And I have, for example, the Stadtsparkasse. Würzburg, I don't know if they have it in Würzburg. They do. This is what a German bank website looks like. And a lot of the times, in my experience, my foreign friends have had to have a bank account with the Deutsche Bank because there's a certain amount that they're required to have in that bank account before they're allowed to get a residence permit here in Germany. But in my case, I was able to go to the Stadtsparkasse in Mannheim and get registered, and this also took about a week. And it's important to do this first, maybe, because you'll need a bank account to get a cell phone, maybe to get your health insurance. So yeah, you will basically, once again, go to the bank when you arrive and open a bank account, and they'll be able to speak English with you. Don't worry about that. Learning German will be important, but during the registration of all of your life facilities, you can speak English. So bank account is checked. You're going to need a cell phone, and I have O2. There are a lot of cell phone providers, but I went here. And this is called O2. It's a very big phone company, and you'll go there and you'll open a contract for a SIM card. If your phone already accepts SIM cards, that's pretty cool. If not, you can also buy them at O2, or you can buy them on eBay. Whichever you want. I actually bought my my Moto G3 at the electronics store here, and I don't like to pay contracts for my phone, so I just paid the entire price for this phone. So we have application, room, bank, cell phone, and you're pretty much done. It seems simple. The steps as a principle are pretty simple, but it does take a long time for you to submit paperwork and for paperwork to come back. And the whole registration process for Germany for me took probably a month and a half, just receiving responses and submitting information and constant back and forth between the university. Lastly, you'll probably need a residence permit. You'll look up the Ausländerbehörde in, for example, Würzburg, like we've been looking at. Ausländerangelegenheiten is what it's called. And it's going to be something similar in every city. It's going to be like Ausländerbehörde. I don't think it's official to say this, but I call it Ausländeramt. You look up words like these in every city, and you'll be taken to the place where you can register for a residence permit. And they will always have really weird opening times because this is Germany, and the German government is really difficult to deal with. but they are helpful, and you'll make an appointment. Maybe you don't make an appointment, maybe you can just go, that depends. In Mannheim, I got a residence permit within a month. In Stuttgart, I got a residence permit within 2 months, and in Munich, I never actually got a residence permit over an entire year. I had to wait a whole year for them to process my paperwork. It was pretty terrible. And then as soon as I left Munich, the week before I left, I actually got a phone call saying that my residence permit was ready. So that gives you an idea of how annoying that part of the German transition can be. We have cell phone, health insurance, bank, application for the university, residence permit, a visa you will have to apply for wherever you live. I think that's pretty much a very quick run through of the most important steps that took me so long to figure out when I first started. But now that I've been living in Germany for about 4 years, I can move between cities pretty quickly. I've made it a routine. But now comes the important part, where I would like to explain why Germany is not free for studying. So now is the part where I would like to share with you my honest opinion about studying in Germany, especially if you are considering this right now as a high school senior, or you've already graduated and you would like to accomplish this planning within a summer, which is possible. Firstly, Germany really is affordable. The semester fees on average at the last 3 universities I've been at are probably 100 euros, which might be $130 at the time that I'm making this video. It's very affordable, and especially if you stay in a student dorm, your rent is probably going to be like 230 euros a month, which if that's $300, that's really nothing. And you might be paying $500 a month to live with food and everything. And this alone has made it possible for me to get an education and mess up massively, still while not having student debt. And it still is reassuring to me when I talk to my friends that I don't have debt, and to hear their stories back in the US does let me know that I at least have this advantage. But when it comes to studying in Germany, it's not, it is a path that you will take from which you will never return. And the change that happens to you in Germany, in my opinion, is far more, is worth far more than $50,000. If you have to stay in Germany for 3.5 years, learn the language, adapt to the society, and really get educated here as an 18-year-old, you're gonna go back home and you won't be able to see anything the same ever again. And it's great that this happens, and at the same time, it's a huge burden. And especially if nobody in your immediate circles has been outside of the country or has gotten a higher education, this is new territory for them too, and they might not be able to give advice along these 3 years, and you'll deal with a lot of new emotions and a lot of difficulties that you otherwise would not have had you just stayed home. I personally have no doubt in my mind that I don't want to go home, but in retrospect, I was fantastically naive in coming to Germany because I had no idea what was going to happen. But you're going to fail. I will give you a 95% chance that you, as an American high school student arriving in Germany, are going to fail. You're going to fail your first exams because you are not ready to carry the responsibility that Germany will require of you, because that's how they educate their children. You are not ready to integrate into the foreign culture. That in itself is going to pose difficulties. and it's just a life decision. You're gonna give part of your life to this country, and you will see if you make it at the other end what I'm saying, which is not meant to scare you. It's just meant to try to emphasize the seriousness of this decision and perhaps help you in that you don't fail in the first few semesters. I have met a handful of Americans since being here. I've even helped some Americans come to Germany, and none of them have made it. None of them have made it past the first year. It is a daunting task, and I would love to see open Americans coming here to embrace the German way of life and the German way of thinking and the German language and this system in general. But it is a huge step, and it's not like the news tells you that you're going to save tons of money and that's the only reason you should go and it's perfect, because it's not. You're going to make tons of mistakes that you would not have made if you had just stayed home. My biggest mistake, for example, was studying, it wasn't studying physics, but I failed physics in my third semester. I was actually kicked out of my university. And this was the worst period of my life. I specifically remember sitting at work, because I had started working as a designer, and I had gotten an email saying that I had failed my final exam. And I specifically remember walking out of my office because I couldn't talk with anyone, and I remember passing out in front of the elevators in tears. It was the pivotal moment of my residence in Germany, and very possible for others. And if you're not ready to deal with this kind of failure, then maybe 15 years of student loan payments are worth it. But if you do come to Germany, it will change you not only as a person, but it will give you an entirely different worldview. And from this worldview, you cannot return. It's a beautiful thing, but beauty also has a dangerous side, and it's important to remember that. But having given my hopefully rational warning, I hope that I hope that you do take the dare to come study in Germany, because you'll get a world-class education. The practical experience, especially if you study at a Hochschule, is invaluable. You cannot put a price tag on that. You will get a great job. You can even go back to the US when you're done and still get great jobs, have amazing opportunities. But Germany, while you're here, is going to offer you some incredible opportunities to work if you are willing to learn the language and embrace the differences. That's pretty much all I would like to say about it. I would be interested to know if you guys have any questions, if there's any information that I can expand upon that you weren't really clear about. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Good luck with your applications.